Yo, what's good, Laker Nation? Listen, I've told you about LeBron apologizing in an empty arena. I've told you about Austin Reaves ripping himself apart and promising redemption. And now I need to tell you about the third interview that came out of the Lakers facility today. And this one has a completely different energy from the other two. Because while LeBron was somber and Reaves was emotional, DeAndre Ayton walked into the weight room at the Lakers practice facility, grabbed a set of heavy dumbbells, started doing bicep curls in front of the ESPN camera, and with veins popping out of his arms and his jaw clenched tight, proceeded to deliver the most aggressive response to media criticism that I've heard from any Laker this entire series. And the target of his aggression? Stephen A. Smith. Who else? Because Stephen A. made the mistake of going on First Take this morning and saying that DeAndre Ayton looked like he was on vacation in the Bahamas during Game 5. And Ayton apparently watched that clip between sets of his workout and decided that enough was enough. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second, but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. Let me remind you of the context. Last night in Game 5, DeAndre Ayton had 18 points and 17 rebounds. 18 and 17. That is, by any objective measure, a dominant performance from a center. He was the Lakers' most consistent player for most of the game. He battled Alperen Sengun possession by possession in the paint. He crashed the offensive glass. He was physical, he was present, he was everything you want from your starting center in a playoff game. But the Lakers lost, and because the Lakers lost, the media needed someone to blame besides LeBron, and Ayton, who has been the media's punching bag since his Phoenix days, became the easy target. Stephen A. said he was on vacation. Other analysts questioned his defensive intensity in the fourth quarter. The narrative once again became that DeAndre Ayton isn't tough enough, doesn't care enough, doesn't have the it factor that championship big men need. And Ayton heard all of it, and he decided to respond while lifting weights, which honestly is the most alpha move possible. The ESPN camera was set up in the corner of the Lakers weight room, and Ayton was in the middle of what looked like an intense workout. Not a maintenance workout, not a let's stay loose for Game 6 workout. A full-blown, muscles screaming, sweat pouring off every surface punishment session. He was doing heavy deadlifts, heavy squats, heavy curls, moving weight that most normal humans couldn't dream of lifting. And between sets, while his chest was heaving and the veins in his neck were visible from across the room, the reporter approached and asked about Stephen A.'s comments. And Ayton didn't stop his workout. He picked up the dumbbells, started another set of curls, and said, mid-rep through gritted teeth. Stephen A. said I was on vacation in the Bahamas. Let me ask you a question. Does this look like the Bahamas to you? He gestured at the weight room with the dumbbell still in his hand. Does a man on vacation lift this weight at 7 in the morning the day after a playoff loss? Does a man who doesn't care show up before the sun is up to prepare for the next game? Stephen A. sits in his chair in a nice suit with his nice microphone and tells millions of people that I don't care, that I'm lazy, that I'm soft. He's been saying it since I was in Phoenix, and I've been hearing it for years. And you know what? I used to let it bother me. I used to go home and feel bad about myself because the loudest voice in sports media was telling the world that DeAndre Ayton isn't good enough. He racked the dumbbells with a slam that echoed through the room. I don't feel bad anymore. Now I feel angry, and angry DeAndre Ayton is the version of me that Houston is about to meet in Game 6. Then he addressed the actual performance from last night, and his response was scorching. He said, 18 points and 17 rebounds. Let me say that again for the people in the back. 18 points and 17 rebounds in a playoff game against one of the most physical teams in the league. And Stephen A. Smith, whose career high in basketball is probably a game of horse in his backyard, said I looked like I was on vacation. 17 rebounds, Stephen A. 17. That's more rebounds than you have functional basketball opinions. That's more rebounds than most centers get in 2 games. And I'm the one who needs to try harder. I'm the one who's lazy. The numbers don't lie, Stephen A. You lie. I said it before and I'll say it again. The numbers are right there in black and white. pull up the box score, show the people at home 18 and 17, and then explain to me with a straight face how that's a man on vacation. The reporter tried to point out that the criticism was more about the fourth quarter specifically, about Sengun getting easier looks late in the game, and Ayton's response showed a level of self-awareness that I think people don't give him enough credit for. He said, "You want to talk about the fourth quarter? Fine, let's talk about it." Sengun got going in the fourth. He scored some tough baskets. He had a couple of offensive rebounds that led to putbacks, and I take responsibility for that. The interior defense in those final minutes wasn't good enough, and as the starting center, that starts with me. I'm not gonna sit here and blame the help defense or the rotations or the scheme. When a center scores on you, that's your problem, and Sengun scored on me. So yeah, I need to be better in the fourth quarter. I need to be more physical. I need to be more aggressive. I need to make Sengun feel like every time he puts the ball up near the rim, there's going to be a consequence. Then he paused, walked over to the squat rack, loaded up what looked like an absolutely absurd amount of weight, positioned himself under the bar, and said, "But here's the thing that Stephen A doesn't understand because he's never played this game at this level. Having a rough fourth quarter in a game where you had 18 and 17 is not being on vacation. It's being human. Even the greatest centers in history, Shaq, Hakeem, Robinson, even they had quarters where the opponent got the better of them. The difference between a great player and an average one isn't that the great player never struggles, it's that the great player responds, and that's what I'm gonna do in Game 6. I'm going to respond to that fourth quarter in a way that makes Sengun wish he had never gotten comfortable. He squatted the weight, grunting through the rep, racked it, and turned back to the camera. I'm going to dominate Sengun in Game 6 in a way that gives him nightmares. Not just in the first 3 quarters, in every quarter, every minute, every possession. He's not going to score in the paint without going through me, and going through me is going to hurt. Then he talked about LeBron, and this is where the interview took on a different dimension because you could hear genuine emotion beneath the aggression. He said, "LeBron James went out this morning and apologized for the loss." Apologized. A 41-year-old man with 4 championships apologized because he felt responsible. Do you know what that does to a teammate? Do you know what it feels like to hear the greatest player in history say, "I'm sorry," when you know that the interior defense in the fourth quarter was your responsibility? It makes you sick. It makes you want to run through a wall because LeBron James should never have to apologize when DeAndre Ayton is on the roster. Never. My job is to protect the paint so that LeBron doesn't have to do everything. My job is to grab rebounds so that LeBron gets transition opportunities instead of having to create in the half court every single time. And in the fourth quarter last night, I didn't do my job well enough. Not because I was lazy, not because I was on vacation, because Sengun made tough plays and I didn't make the adjustment fast enough. But that won't happen again. I won't let it happen again. Because I am not going to be the reason that LeBron James's potentially last great playoff run ends in the first round. I refuse. I refuse. Then he made his promise for Game 6, and the way he delivered it, still standing next to the squat rack, still breathing heavy from the workout, still radiating that intense physical energy, it hit different. He said, "In Game 6, I'm not getting 17 rebounds, I'm getting 25. I'm not getting 18 points, I'm getting 25. I'm gonna dominate both ends of the floor in a way that leaves no doubt, no question, no debate about whether DeAndre Ayton cares. I'm gonna play 40 minutes if that's what it takes. I'm gonna run the floor on every possession. I'm going to set bone-crushing screens that free Austin and LeBron for open looks. I'm going to seal Sengun out of the paint so completely that he forgets what the restricted area looks like. And when the game is over, when the Lakers have won, when we've closed this series out in Houston, I want Stephen A. Smith to go on First Take the next morning and show my highlights, show the dunks, show the blocks, show the rebounds, show the defense, and then I want him to say on camera for the world to hear, "I was wrong about DeAndre Ayton." That's all I want, an acknowledgement, not an apology, just the truth, which is something Stephen A. seems to have a very difficult relationship with. He walked over to the bench press, sat down, and said his final words while looking up at the ceiling. The beach is closed. No more vacation jokes. No more Bahamas references. No more lazy narratives. Starting Wednesday night in Houston, DeAndre Ayton is in WAR mode. And I'm not coming out of that mode until there's a championship trophy sitting in front of my locker. I signed with the Lakers for $8 million because I wanted a ring, not a paycheck. A ring, and I'm gonna get it. Not for Stephen A., Not for the media. For LeBron. For Luka, who's rehabbing and counting on us. For Austin, who played hurt for this team. For Marcus Smart, who's been incredible. For JJ Redick, who believed in me when nobody else did. For the fans, the ring is coming, and the road to that ring goes through Houston on Wednesday, and I'm going to make sure that road is paved with dominance. He lay back on the bench, grabbed the bar loaded with weight, and started pressing. The reporter stood there for a moment, then slowly backed away because the interview was clearly over. Ayton was done talking. The time for words had passed. Now it was about the work, and watching him push that weight rep after rep with the intensity of a man who has something to prove to the entire world. I knew that Game 6 in Houston was going to be different, not because of any tactical adjustment. Not because of some new game plan, because 3 Lakers players, LeBron, Reaves, and Ayton, all walked in front of cameras today and essentially said the same thing. Game 5 was a failure, and Game 6 is going to be a reckoning. Then he made a specific promise that I think is either going to be the greatest redemption moment of the 2026 playoffs or the most painful clip in his career. He said, "I went 4 for 15 last night. In Game 6, I'm gonna make my first 5 shots. I don't care if they're threes, mid-ranges, or layups. The first 5 shots that I take in the Toyota Center are going in because I'm gonna walk into that building with a mentality that I've never had before. Not the positive, happy to be here Austin Reaves. The angry Austin Reaves. The one who remembers what it felt like to go undrafted. The one who remembers being told he wasn't good enough. The one who took an 8-hour drive from Arkansas to LA with nothing but a bag of clothes and a dream. That Austin Reaves is showing up in Houston, and Houston is not going to enjoy meeting him." Then he got emotional in a way that caught everyone off guard. He said, "You know what kills me the most about last night? It's not the shots. It's not the stat line. It's that LeBron took the blame. He went out there this morning and apologized. He said his turnovers cost us the game." And yeah, the turnovers were bad, but LeBron James does not need to apologize to anyone. The man is 41 years old, and he's still the best player on our team. He's still the guy who makes this entire operation work. And the fact that he felt like he needed to say sorry when I went out there and shot 4 for 15, that makes me sick. That keeps me up at night. Because LeBron shouldn't be apologizing for me. I should be apologizing for not doing my job so that he doesn't have to carry everything. And that's what I'm gonna do in Game 6. I'm gonna do my job. I'm gonna make shots. I'm gonna space the floor. I'm going to take pressure off LeBron so that he can be the playmaker and the facilitator instead of having to be the scorer and the playmaker and the closer and everything else. That's my responsibility, and I take it more seriously than anything I've ever taken in my life. And that, Laker Nation, is what should terrify Houston more than anything. Not a team that's ignoring the loss. Not a team that's making excuses. A team that is owning the loss, feeling the pain of it, and channeling every ounce of that pain into preparation for the next game. 3 players, 3 promises. LeBron says the throne still has an owner. Reaves says he's making his first 5 shots. Ayton says the beach is closed and war mode is activated. Houston won Game 5. Congratulations, they woke up a monster with 3 heads. And on Wednesday night at the Toyota Center, that monster is coming for them. I want to hear from every single member of Laker Nation. Are the Lakers closing this out in Houston? Which interview fired you up the most? LeBron's apology and promise? Reaves' emotional confession? Ayton's weight room war declaration? Drop it all in the comments. Hit subscribe, smash the bell, because Game 6 is Wednesday night and I will be right here breaking down every single second. The Lakers lost Game 5. But what I saw today, the accountability, the hunger, the anger, that tells me Game 6 is going to be the night we look back on as the moment this team found its identity. Laker Nation, we're going to Houston, and we're not coming back without a win. I'll see y'all for Game 6. Peace.